Here are mountains, hills, plains, valleys, rivers, and brooks all running most pleasantly into a fair bay. Captain John Smith, 1608. Smith was one of the first Englishmen to visit the Chesapeake, which he called a land of pleasant living, and marveled at the biodiversity and seemingly untouched bounty where oysters lay as thick as stones. The Chesapeake stretches more than 200 miles from its mouth in Virginia to the last falls of the Susquehanna near Conowingo. The brackish waters of the bay range from salty as seawater at the mouth to fresh along the Susquehanna Flats and are home to more than 300 species of fish and shellfish. This incredible range of habitats supported not an untouched wilderness, but rather a large number of distinct native cultures. Algonquin-speaking Indians lived along the bay, managing the landscape and utilizing the region's abundant natural resources. The new colonists that followed Smith's trail came to know what the Algonquins already did. The Chesapeake was one of the richest habitats in North America. As the region's population grew, more and more pressure was placed on the bay's natural resources. Through the early 20th century, Chesapeake oysters supplied markets across much of North America, but eventually, overharvesting and sedimentation from clear-cutting much of the bay watershed led to a collapse of the oyster fishery. Winter on the upper bay near Marshy Point brought one of the world's great migrations of waterfowl, around 1 million ducks, geese, and swans. Indeed, some early accounts suggest migrating flocks of waterfowl so large that their passing would darken the sky. Historically, many duck hunting clubs existed on the upper bay and attracted well-to-do hunters from around the country. The Marshy Point Ducking Club was involved in developing Maryland's state dog, the Chesapeake Bay Retriever. During this time, others hunted not for sport, but for a living and developed techniques to take large numbers of waterfowl at once. Between the pressure of this market harvest and loss of habitat, duck populations began to experience the same decline as oysters. Over time, the Chesapeake region became one of the most densely populated parts of the United States. More than 18 million people live in the Bay watershed today. As this population places more pressure on the environment than ever before, people have begun to realize the importance of protecting our natural resources. Many of the pieces of land that once made up the duck hunting clubs of the Upper Bay eventually came into government ownership. Some areas were set aside specifically to preserve and protect the incredible ecosystems of the Chesapeake. In 1982, the more than 400 acres of land that makes up Marshy Point Park was purchased by Baltimore County from the Weiss, Kettle, and Zielinski families. In combination with adjacent state and federal lands, Marshy Point is a part of one of the largest tracts of undeveloped and protected lands on the Upper Chesapeake today. More than 8 miles of trails highlight the many different habitats of Marshy Point. The park includes shallow creeks, marshes, freshwater wetlands, and coastal plain forest, as well as Marshy Point Nature Center, a facility of the Baltimore County Department of Recreation and Parks in cooperation with the Marshy Point Nature Center Council. This unique place welcomes visitors of all ages and offers many different forms of outdoor recreation, from canoeing, boating, to hiking, birding, and photography. Marshy Point provides more than 400 acres to explore and is open every day to the public. The Nature Center displays more than 50 different species of native wildlife and offers interactive exhibits about the natural and cultural history of the surrounding area. The park is home to 73 bird and 67 animal species ranging from fish, crabs, and turtles in the shallow, low salinity waters of Dundee and Saltpeter Creeks to the amphibians that abound in the park's freshwater wetlands. Wild turkeys, deer, snakes, and numerous birds of prey inhabit the surrounding coastal plain forest. Ospreys raise their chicks on the creeks and feed on the abundant fish. Marshy Point is also visited each year by around 80,000 people from Baltimore County and the surrounding area. With a focus on the Chesapeake Bay, Marshy Point offers hundreds of public programs each season. During the summer, camps and weekend programs focus on providing visitors with a hands-on experience in the Bay. School field trips aim to provide encounters with the natural world and a connection to our shared history. Special events bring the local community together with organizations and individuals interested in environmental education and conservation. Spring and fall festivals celebrate the traditions and history of the Chesapeake and provide up-close encounters with wildlife. Support from hundreds of volunteers, community organizations, and members make Marshy Point the special place it is today. The nonprofit Marshy Point Nature Center Council is dedicated to supporting the educational mission of the center and makes possible the development of new programs, features, and exhibits. No matter what the season, Marshy Point has something to offer. Marshy Point, just like the larger Chesapeake Bay ecosystem, follows the timeless rhythm of the seasons. Every visit to this place is sure to reveal another part of nature's wonder, from the new life of spring to the colorful changes of autumn to the still beauty of winter. Each season offers its own unique character and wildlife as nature continues its ancient cycles. Marshy Point is a place to connect to nature and to realize that we do not exist in isolation from it, but rather as a part of the natural world, a part with an obligation to appreciate, respect, and protect the world around us. It is our hope that by sharing this place with visitors of all ages and interests, we will encourage a desire to maintain natural places and healthy habitats around the Chesapeake for generations to come.